If you really think about it, building and sticking to good habits is the only way to actually see progress in life, which is why a while back I asked you to list all of the good habits that you can think of. I then compiled over 30 of the most popular answers, and I had one of my artists draw these cute little images to symbolize each and every single one of them. And today I will be ranking all of these habits from most life-changing to least, so that you can gain some clarity for which to prioritize, and hopefully this will help you progress in life faster. Welcome to the habit tier list. Now, I've decided to include 4 different tiers for this tier list. First, we got the S tier, which is reserved for life-changing keystone habits. For those of you that are not familiar with this term, keystone habits are basically habits so powerful that once you build them and get them to stick, they end up causing you to adopt a bunch of other good habits in your life without much effort. Virtually anyone who manages to successfully build any of the habits in the S tier will see drastic changes in their lives. Under that, we have the A tier, which is reserved for powerful habits. These are habits that will bring a lot of benefits for most people. Maybe they'll drastically improve one of the 4 areas of self-improvement, which are our health, wealth, relationships, and happiness, or maybe even 2 of them. But they will most likely not be keystone habits for most people. Under this, we have the B tier, which will be reserved for just good habits. These are habits that are good to have. They might bring some benefit to one of the 4 areas of life, but probably not more than that. There is one benefit to most of the habits in the B tier though, and that is that most of them are easier to build compared to the S-ranked or A-ranked habits. Most of these will only take just a couple of weeks as compared to the many months it takes to build most higher tiered habits. And finally, we have a special tier that I've labeled the not really a habit tier. These will be reserved for some of the answers that I received that aren't really good habits that you can actively build. They might be good practices to have, but they are not really habits. Now that the stage is set, let's begin. We'll start with this first habit right here, which is drinking a glass of water when you wake up. Well, there are some benefits to this habit because when you wake up from an average night of sleep, your body is in a slight state of dehydration. So drinking a glass of water has been shown to help rehydrate your body, which comes with benefits like better mental performance, more focus, and even a boost in your metabolism. Is this going to change your life? I don't really think so, but it's a habit that takes less than 30 seconds to do, and it's a fairly easy habit to build. You can probably build it and get it to stick in just a couple of weeks, so I'm going to be putting this into the B tier. Next up, we have cooking. Building a habit of cooking your meals instead of ordering delivery or eating out at restaurants is definitely going to allow you to become more aware of what you are putting into your body. See, the thing about ordering out is that most restaurants use low-quality oils along with extra sugar and extra additives to help make the food taste better and also to make their business more profitable. So if you eat out all of the time, chances are your diet is going to be pretty bad because most of the ingredients are low quality. On the other hand, when you learn how to cook, you can decide exactly what you want to put into your body. This helps with weight loss, mental clarity, energy levels, and your overall health. In my opinion, cooking is actually a fairly easy habit to build because the reward for the habit is extremely powerful. And if you can build this habit, it's definitely going to change the health aspect of your life, which will probably benefit the other areas of your life as well. So I think this deserves a spot high up in the A tier. All right, next up, we got learning how to play an instrument or practicing an instrument. And I guess I can also lump in creating music in general because they're all very similar to each other. Overall, I think that these are pretty good habits to build. One benefit that comes to mind is the fact that it increases your perceived value, right? Almost anyone that can play an instrument or has some sort of musical talent is seen as slightly more attractive, especially when it comes to dating. So that's good because it can improve the relationship aspect of your life. But more importantly is the fact that practicing music teaches you how to enter flow state on command, which essentially means that you know how to have fun on command because the flow state and fun go hand in hand. So this habit is extremely beneficial when it comes to your overall levels of happiness and your relationships. Overall, I think that this is a lower A tier habit. I'm ranking it lower than cooking because learning how to play an instrument has a much harder learning curve, so it's not as rewarding until later down the line. But it's definitely a very powerful habit to build that can bring more happiness into your life. Next up, we got waking up early. All right, so in my opinion, this is actually not a habit. People say something like this to me all the time. I want to be able to build a habit of waking up early every day. But you see, the thing is, sleep itself is already a habit that we all have, right? We've been sleeping almost every single day of our lives. So it's not like you have to build a completely new habit. It's more like you have to change the timing of your old one. And the thing about your already existing sleep habit is that it really depends on the habits surrounding your sleep. Basically, what you do before you go to sleep and also what you do immediately after you wake up. This is what ultimately determines how long you sleep and also when you wake up. For example, getting sunlight and working out in the mornings has been shown to help people fall asleep easier at night. And if you fall asleep earlier, you end up waking up earlier. So again, this belongs in the not really a habit tier because how you wake up is usually a side effect of your other habits. Moving on, we have reading. Reading or listening to audiobooks, in particular nonfiction titles, is one of the most important habits out there. If you guys are fans of the channel, you know that I preach about it a lot. And this is because if you think about it, this world that we live in is sort of like a game. And it just so happens that billions of people before us have played this game before. And some of the ones that have done well in the past have decided to write guides to help others do well in the future. So it makes sense that you should read these guides so that you can avoid some of the mistakes they made, and so you can replicate similar sorts of success they had. It's also been said that reading just 3 books on a subject makes you more knowledgeable than 99% of the population for that particular field, which can give you a huge advantage over most other people. Reading is definitely an S tier habit because it gives you a huge competitive edge over your peers. And the only real downside that I can think of is that it might be somewhat difficult for some people to build this habit, especially if most of the reading that you did in the past were from books forced upon you in school. If that's the case, I suggest you find a subject that you're genuinely interested in and start there. Next up, we have the habit of keeping a diary, which is a pretty therapeutic habit. See, when you keep a diary, you are essentially letting your thoughts and emotions out on paper. So to some extent, it can give you the same sort of relief that one gets from talking to a friend about your problems. But more importantly, it allows you to zoom out and look at the big picture. However, I think there's a habit that does this significantly better than the typical diary, and we'll be covering that later on in this video, so just hang tight. Other than that, diaries are also a good place to store your memories, which can be nice to have because every couple of years you can go down memory lane and relive some of the great memories that you had from back in the day, which can be quite the trip. You can see how much you've changed over the years, but that's basically it. Overall, I think this is a mid-B tier habit. It's not really a habit for everyone, and it's probably not going to change your life. But if you enjoy writing and if you feel like you have a lot on your mind every day, then it can be something that brings more happiness into your life. Up next, we have listening to podcasts. Now, the great thing about this habit is that it shares many of the same benefits that reading and listening to audiobooks bring for you. If you choose to listen to the right podcast run by the right people, you can definitely learn some valuable lessons. However, I think that this habit deserves a lower rank than reading books because for the most part, podcasts are usually freestyled conversations, which means that there is usually less information and structure in a podcast as compared to a book where the author devotes months of time researching and writing on a specific subject. So podcasts in a way is for more general learning as compared to reading, which is more like fine-tuned learning about a specific subject. Which is why I'm going to put podcasts into the middle of the A tier. It's a very good habit to have, but reading or listening to books is still better. Up next, we have chores, which consists of things like cleaning your room, doing the dishes, doing your laundry, taking out the garbage, etc. I've decided to compile all of them together because the benefits they bring are basically the same. Jordan Peterson's most famous quote is "clean your room," and there's a good reason for that. When your environment is messy, your mind will be messy as well. It's simply harder to focus and think clearly when there's so much chaos around you. But more importantly, doing your chores is one of those habits that you just have to have. It's not a life-changing habit, but if you don't have it, your environment will just get messier and messier, making it harder for you to get other things done in life. So overall, I would rank this as a low A tier habit. It's definitely one of the best habits to start building if you don't already have it, and it's pretty easy to build compared to everything else on this list. But it's not going to change your life on its own. It basically prevents your life from getting worse. Okay, next up we have dance. Dancing is similar to practicing music in the sense that it's a habit that will make you more attractive, and it's also a habit that will teach you how to get into the flow state easier. But I actually think it's slightly better than music because you can't really whip out a saxophone at the club and start playing it, but you could definitely bust out some moves and dance to the music that's playing in the background. Building and sticking to this habit will drastically increase the amount of happiness in your life and also your ability to bring happiness into the lives of others when you're with them. Everyone loves it when there's one crazy guy dancing on the dance floor because it allows them to let loose and dance too. And it's not about how well you dance, it's about how much fun you have when you dance. I would rank this as a high A tier habit because of the sheer amount of joy it's been able to bring into my life. Next up, we got resting your eyes. This is actually a very interesting habit because recently I went down a rabbit hole doing some research on why people's eyes get worse over time, especially when they are young and they start wearing glasses. And it turns out that when you look at things close up for long periods of time with glasses on, your eyeball starts getting longer. And when your eyeballs get longer, your vision gets worse without the glasses. A year later, you go back to the eye shop and you are given a higher prescription. And the cycle continues on and on and on. Now, this is just a theory I came across. I'm not a certified health professional of any kind. I'm just telling you about what I read online. If you are interested in learning more about this, I'm actually doing a podcast interview with someone who claims to have fixed his eyesight naturally, so I'll include a link for that in the description box below for you to watch after this video. Anyways, a habit that involves resting your eyes could be the 20-20-20 rule. Basically, whenever you spend 20 minutes looking at something close up, like your phone or laptop, you should take a 20-second break and look at something that's about 20 feet away. Apparently, this helps prevent your vision from getting worse to some degree. This is a habit that's definitely not life-changing, but it can be helpful for many people who suffer from worsening vision. And compared to everything else, it's pretty easy to build. So I'll be placing this in the lower B tier. Alright, so now that we're about halfway done with the tier list, I want to quickly tell you about how you can actually build these habits. See, I've been running a unique program for over a year that was specifically designed to get people to build a habit that actually sticks. It's called the Habit Builder Challenge. I've been actively improving the program every time I run it to increase its effectiveness. We have dozens of success stories, people who are able to completely transform their lives by building good habits and getting them to stick. And we have the highest completion rate amongst any course that I know of online. More than 80% of people who join end up completing the challenge. I honestly think this is the best program out there when it comes to building habits because I actually take an entire month off from making videos to help the members of the challenge. I spend 2 to 3 hours every day personally speaking with members and answering their questions, so this is a very unique experience that no other program offers. And the best part about this is that after the challenge is over, there is a permanent Discord server where all of the graduating members from over the years can hang out and help each other grow. Over there, we run a weekly book club, weekly hangouts, and my favorite, a weekly game night where we play board games and other online games together. It's a great place to have fun and grow at the same time. Now, the thing is, the Habit Builder Challenge is not something you can join at any time. I only run it 2 to 3 times a year, so if this is something that interests you, just sign up for my newsletter in the description box below, and you'll be notified when I run the next challenge. And as an additional bonus, when you sign up, you will gain access to a free mini course that will help you on your self-improvement journey. Alright, back to the topic at hand. The next habit on our list is positive affirmations. This is basically when you allocate some time every day to repeat certain phrases to yourself, either out loud or in your head. These phrases are things like I can do it, or I am loved, or I am a winner. You get the point. Now, does this actually work? Well, I did hear an anecdotal story from a therapist who used this technique to help her client. She put post-its with the words, I am enough, all over a client's home, essentially brute forcing the thought into their head. And it actually worked. She was able to increase her client's level of self-esteem. The reason this works is because if you can change the thoughts in your head, you will end up changing your behavior. The only problem is that we have anywhere from 50 to 70,000 thoughts every single day. So if you just say, I can do it one time, it's not enough. You need to do it a couple hundred times throughout the day for it to actually make a difference. Overall, I think this is a lower A-tier habit. It can definitely change your life because going from someone who says, I can't do it, to someone who says, I can do it, would actually cause you to take more action in life. But the reason it's not an S-tier habit or higher up on the A-tier is the fact that this doesn't really work if you don't have any evidence to back it up. For example, if you tell yourself, I'm healthy, but you eat junk food all day and you never work out, you're never going to believe it. Your actions must somewhat align with your affirmations in order for them to work. which means you need to be building good habits along with this habit to actually see success, which is why I'm putting it into the lower A tier. The next habit we have on our list is bullet journaling, which is actually the one habit that I decided to pick up this year. A bullet journal is a blank journal that you can customize however you like. It's basically the Swiss Army knife of habits. I personally use it as a mini diary by writing down what I've done every day. I also use it as a habit tracker when building new habits. I use it as a place to note my daily to-dos, which helps me be more productive. I use it to organize my projects to make sure I hit my deadlines. I use it to track my finances and investments. I use it to take down notes for books that I'm reading, and I even use it to reflect on my monthly performance to see if there's anything I need to improve on. It's basically the king of all organizational habits, and I know many of the other self-improvement channels recommend using online or digital tools, which basically have the same benefits, but personally, I like having a physical thing that I can carry around. If you want to see exactly how I structure my bullet journal and how it works, I'll include a link to a video in the description box below that will go over all of that with you. But overall, I think that this and the digital variations of it deserve a spot in the high S tier because it will give you clarity in life, help you get things done, and it's fully customizable to your needs. I'm ranking this higher than reading because it allows you to build other habits much, much easier. Up next, we have being mindful of one's posture. Your posture is definitely important when it comes to your levels of confidence, how attractive you are, and also your perceived status. However, simply being mindful of your posture is usually not enough to fix it. Chances are certain muscles in your body are underdeveloped due to years of sitting in weird positions, so you actually need to build up those muscles in order to fix this problem. You have to go and do the right exercises to strengthen the right muscles combined with being mindful of how you sit or stand, and all of this combined is what will give you better posture. Which is why I think this isn't really a habit. This is more like a mindset to have because you actually need to build another habit in order to really fix the problem. Next up on our list is watching self-improvement videos. Now, this habit has similar benefits to reading books and listening to podcasts. However, there is one main problem, and that's the fact that most self-improvement videos, mine included, are designed to make you feel good and to keep you entertained. It's true that sometimes these videos reveal important lessons, but they don't really drill it into you like books or podcasts do. In order for you to actually see benefits in your life, you have to limit how much you watch, and you have to actually go out there and take action based on what you've learned in the videos. So overall, I would rate this as a mid-B tier habit. It's a habit that's good when you are just starting your self-improvement journey to give you an idea of what's out there. But even then, it's a habit that pales in comparison to reading or listening about the same topic in a book or podcast because of the lack of depth. The next habit on our list is studying, which I define as the typical form of learning used by most students in school to do well on their exams. Things like memorizing facts and formulas, and also solving problems in practice exams and textbooks. Now, I think this is a pretty straightforward habit to rank because most people need to build a habit of studying in order to graduate and move on with their careers. It's usually only used to improve the wealth aspect of your life. Very rarely is it used for anything else, which is why I'm going to place it into the lower section of the A tier. On the other hand, if you are trying to improve your skill level in something that you are actually interested in, then you would probably end up building a habit of practicing a skill. This habit is the more hands-on version of studying, and it covers anything from practicing programming on your computer to practicing tricks on a skateboard to practicing magic with a deck of cards. Practicing a skill allows you to learn faster than studying because most of the time you are physically doing something as compared to just memorizing. And what's great about this habit is the fact that over time, as you become better at a certain skill, you can eventually reach a professional level. And once this happens, you gain access to a lot of benefits. You can improve the wealth aspect of your life by charging competitive rates for your work. Your perceived value will increase because you excel at a skill that very few have, which will improve your relationship slightly. And finally, you will notice an increase in your levels of happiness because you get to grow while doing something that you actually enjoy. So overall, I would rank this high up in the A tier as it's something that can bring a lot of benefits into your life if you manage to build a habit of sticking to it. Next up, we have grooming, which encompasses everything from taking a shower to shaving to brushing your teeth, etc. Basically everything related to your hygiene. Now, this is definitely an important habit that everyone should have because of two things. First, of course, is that it improves your perceived value. Nobody wants to talk to some smelly guy who looks like he hasn't showered in weeks, because people will automatically assume that you are dangerous. The second benefit is that it helps you improve your relationship with yourself. Oftentimes, people who don't take care of themselves also don't think very highly of themselves. They don't think that they deserve to look nice and taken care of. When you build a habit of grooming, you end up forcing yourself to start believing that you are someone worthy of nice things, someone worthy of love and care. So overall, I would put this in the mid-A tier because it's a habit that quite honestly, everyone should build. It's not going to change your life, but it'll definitely help with two of the core areas of life, which are your relationships and also your overall levels of happiness. Next up, we have the habit of making your bed in the morning after you wake up. Now, this is pretty similar to the habit of doing chores, but it has a slightly different benefit to it. See, when you make your bed first thing in the morning, it puts you in a certain state of mind, giving you your first big win extremely early on, reinforcing the fact that you are a disciplined person. But other than that, it's not really a habit that will change your life. In fact, I would personally rank it lower than doing your chores because it doesn't have negative side effects that stack up, right? If you don't take out the garbage for like 2 weeks, that leads to a huge problem. Maggots will be crawling all over your floor. While on the other hand, if you don't make your bed for 2 weeks, nothing really changes. So overall, this is a great habit to add to your morning routine if you want, and it can be built in a very short period of time, but it's still less important than having a habit of doing your normal chores to make sure that the environment isn't filthy, which is why I'm going to be placing this into the high B tier. Next, we have being mindful of your words. Now, honestly, I don't really think that this is a habit. It's more like a good mindset to have. Yes, we should be careful of the words that we use. We should try to avoid using words that bring ourselves down and words that hurt others. However, this is only possible if we are very aware of our actions. So in a way, this is more like a side effect that comes into your life when you build another habit, which is the habit of meditation. Now, if you've been a fan of the channel for a long enough time, you know that I love talking about meditation, and that's because meditation has been studied extensively, with dozens and dozens of proven benefits. I'm not going to dive into all of them here, but I'll link to a playlist in the description box below for those of you that are interested. Meditation can improve all 4 areas of your life. It brings more wealth into your life by improving your ability to focus, allowing you to get more things done. It improves the health aspect of your life by giving you more self-control, which allows you to stay away from bad habits. It improves the relationship part of your life by making you more present when talking to others. And finally, it improves your overall happiness by reducing negative emotions and giving you more awareness over your thoughts. And this is why I believe meditation deserves a spot in the S tier, although I'm going to rank it behind all the others, and that's because it's actually one of the hardest habits to build. It requires a lot of dedication and months of practice before it starts to stick, which is why I would actually recommend people to build some of the other S tier habits or even some of the A tier habits first before trying to build this one, just so you get used to building habits and build up your discipline. All right, next up, we got cold showers. Cold showers are pretty good for your health because they have been shown to boost your immune system, increase your metabolism, and also release feel-good endorphins. But in my opinion, the most powerful benefit to cold showers is the fact that it teaches you to jump outside of your comfort zone. It is one of the few things that you can do at home that will actually make you very, very uncomfortable. The next time you're in the shower, just look at the knob and think about turning it to the coldest setting. And assuming that you live in a country with freezing cold water, you will automatically be met with a lot of resistance. Your body doesn't want to be blasted with freezing water, but if you can push forward and turn the knob anyways, you will essentially be training yourself to take action in face of fear. And that's very powerful. This is actually one of the best ways to train yourself to jump outside of your comfort zone, making you into a more courageous person. The next time you're met with fear in public, say when you see an attractive person that you want to talk to, you'll be able to push forward in the face of that fear. So overall, I believe that this is a high B tier habit. It's short and simple, and it teaches you how to be more courageous in life. Next up, we have the habit of getting sunlight. Now, this is actually an extremely easy habit that has a bunch of health benefits. I talk about this more in my sleep video, which I will link to in the description box below. If you have a really messed up sleep schedule or if you have problems falling asleep, then you should definitely check it out. Basically, when sunlight reaches your eyes and skin in the morning, your body will release cortisol. You need this to happen in order to feel awake and energized in the morning. On top of that, sunlight is also responsible for your levels of vitamin D, which is important for your immune system and also your levels of energy. And fun fact, 40% of people have a deficiency in vitamin D. It's a super easy habit to build because you just have to take a walk outside in the mornings or sit next to a window when you're working, and you'll be able to see the benefits. So overall, I will rank this as a high B tier habit because it's not going to completely change your life, but it can definitely improve your health and your sleep by quite a lot. Up next, we have the habit of writing. Writing is a skill that you need in order to create value. Every movie, video, blog post, book, and even lesson uses writing as the foundation to deliver value. And if you are able to deliver value to the world, you will be rewarded with wealth. The success that I've been able to experience would not have been possible if I did not write every day. And that's why I believe that this is a high A tier habit, because if you build this habit properly, it can drastically change the wealth aspect of your life. On top of that, it can give you a strong sense of satisfaction, being able to provide value back to the world, which will make you happier. However, this is one of the harder habits to build as it comes with a rather steep learning curve and the rewards for it are often delayed. But if you're serious about it and you manage to build it, then it can definitely change your life. The next habit that we'll talk about is exercise and fitness, which encompasses everything from jogging to martial arts to cycling, but primarily some form of weight training. Now, there are dozens and dozens of physical health and mental benefits when it comes to exercise. It gives you more energy, boosts your immune system, helps you sleep better, makes you stronger, makes you feel better, reduces stress. The list goes on and on and on and on. It's definitely the most studied habit on this entire list. But I think the most important benefit that it brings for the average Joe who is just dipping their feet into the world of self-improvement is the fact that it literally changes who you are. When you work out for just a month, you can visibly see changes in your body. After 2 to 3 months, your friends and family will start to see those changes as well. And after 3 months, everyone around you will know that you hit the gym. This will change how others view you and also how you view yourself, allowing you to shed a lot of the negative beliefs that you have about yourself and start believing in yourself. Once you start believing that you are someone who is disciplined and can get hard things done, all the other habits on this list become much easier to build. Exercise is the king of all keystone habits for this reason. And that's why I will be ranking this all the way at the top of the S tier, because there isn't a single habit that will give you all of the physical and mental benefits, all while allowing you to build other habits significantly easier. If you haven't really built any habits in your life, then this is a habit that you should seriously consider first. The next habit on my list is sleeping early. Now, I'm going to rank this habit the same way I ranked waking up on time. It's not really a habit. It's something that is determined by all of the habits that you have in the evening and also when you wake up. If you want to learn more about this, you can check out my comprehensive guide on fixing your sleep, which I will link to in the description box below. Next up, we have eating on time. I guess this relates to diets like intermittent fasting, which limits your meals to an 8-hour window, or even the 1 meal a day diet, where you are allowed to eat once a day within the same 1 or 2 hour window. Now, there are a lot of benefits to these sorts of diets, such as weight loss, reduced inflammation, increased production of growth hormone, reduced aging, and much, much more. Personally, I practice intermittent fasting for the mental clarity. See, I found that if I eat in the mornings, I experience some degree of brain fog, which makes it harder for me to write. Which is why I'll usually work on an empty stomach, then go to the gym in the early afternoon, after which I'll break my fast. So overall, I would say that this is a low A tier habit. It's probably the best habit on this list next to cooking if your main goal is weight loss, and the mental clarity is a huge added bonus that can help you get more done every day. Disclaimer, you should definitely talk to your family doctor before trying to do this because it's not for everyone. Next up, we have studying a language. Now, there aren't too many benefits to this. Yes, it has been shown to promote brain health and memory, but it really isn't going to change your life unless you plan on moving somewhere permanently. You would see more benefits studying social skills in general, which would improve all of your interactions with people regardless of the language they speak. So I'm going to place this in the lower B tier, but it's important to note if you're not a native English speaker, then studying and becoming fluent in English is actually very beneficial because doing so would allow you to tap into the English market, which is the most profitable market in the world. In that case, it would be very, very beneficial for the wealth aspect of your life. If that's you, it'd be more like a low A tier habit. Up next, we have budgeting, or keeping track of your finances. This is actually an extremely important habit to have. It's almost guaranteed that you will eventually become poor if you don't track your finances, because if you spend more than you make, you eventually end up with nothing, or less than nothing. You can also use this habit to create pressure on yourself, which can be a good thing because it will motivate you to take more action. For example, oftentimes I will purposely move my wealth into places that I cannot touch so that when I look at my bank account, it feels like I'm a month or two away from going bankrupt. Like even right now, as I'm writing this script, I barely have enough money to maintain the business and feed myself for the next month. And knowing this actually pushes me to work harder because I feel like I need to bring in more income just to survive. Overall, this is a high B tier habit. It's something that everyone needs to build eventually, but depending on your age, you might not have to worry about it right now. Like if you're a teenager, you don't really need to worry about paying the bills because your parents are probably doing it for you. So there are other habits that you should prioritize right now. The next habit on our list is visualizing. Basically, when you imagine certain scenarios playing out over and over again, you can imagine yourself accomplishing a task, overcoming a fear, or even sticking to a habit. Now, visualizing is something that most of us already do. The only issue is that most of us visualize things that drag us down, such as past failures. In order to get the most out of it, you're actually supposed to think about the bright future. Doing so will give you more motivation and also causes you to take action, which in turn increases the chances of your dreams coming true. However, it's something that's pretty much useless unless you back it up with another good habit. Like, you can't just visualize yourself getting fit and expect it to come true. You have to actually try building a habit of working out and combine it with the visualization in order to reap the benefits. Which is why I'm going to place this in the high B tier. It's very powerful to have, but only if you pair it up with the right things. Next up, we have working. Now, just to clarify, when I say working, I don't mean working 9 to 5 for someone else. I mean working on your own projects, building your own thing, creating your own content. If you're someone who doesn't like to write, but maybe you like to create websites or program and design apps, then that would still be considered to be working. And just like with writing, this is one of the best ways to improve the wealth aspect of your life. So I'm going to rank this right next to writing because they have the same exact benefits. Next up, we have socializing, which involves messaging, jumping on calls, and hanging out with other people. This is an extremely important benefit because everyone needs some degree of human interaction in order to feel happy and mentally healthy. A lot of people feel like they don't have enough friends, and it's usually because they don't take enough initiative to start conversations or to invite others to hang out. If you build a habit of socializing, then you fix all of this. Socializing is also a habit that can be used as a reward for other habits. For example, I like to play games with friends or go out for a drink with some pals after a long, hard days of work, and I always look forward to this, which makes me want to get my work done even more. So overall, I think this is a high A-tier habit. It's a habit that everyone needs to have to some degree in order to be happy, but it's not really a keystone habit for most people. It's not something that will make you build your other habits easier most of the time. And finally, we have stretching. Now, there aren't too many health benefits that I can think of for this. It's good for your posture, your range of motion, and it's something that you might want to consider doing with your workouts to help with recovery and to prevent injuries. But by itself, it's not that special. So overall, I think this is a low B-tier habit. And that's it. This is how I would rank all of these habits. You should limit yourself to building just 1 or 2 habits at a time, and you should prioritize the ones that will give you the most bang for your buck. Hopefully, this video gives you clarity with where to start, and if you want help building habits, then join my newsletter by clicking on the link in the description box below. There you'll receive a lot more information about the Habit Builder Challenge, which I honestly believe is the best program available for getting people to actually build and stick to a new habit. On top of that, it's also one of the only ways to get invited into my private Discord server, where you will gain access to a community of like-minded people all focused on improving themselves. We run a weekly book club and even a weekly board game night, which I always attend. Besides that, I'm curious, which habit do you think you'll be building next? Let me know in the comments down below.